Hey guys, so we are sitting in the parking lot of Center of the Yarniverse. I'm about to go in and get some new needles because that's right, I've got a new cast on planned. And you're like, wait, it's Thursday, May 15th. You're only halfway through May. You had May knitting plans. What happened to those? Well, they're still happening, okay? So the first thing that was on my list for this month was the Kuma cowl. And last time I checked in with you, I was at the sheep marker. That was like May 4th, I think, when I talked to you guys last. So that's how far I had gotten. I've done that much since. I'm about halfway through. I didn't actually count, but it looks like about halfway through my third color, which means I'm halfway through the cowl in general. And it is so like just soft and squishy, and I'm absolutely adoring it. And I really like the fact that if you guys saw my video where I started it, this orange color is like super, super bright. But when held together with the pink peppercorn fuzzy, it really muted it down, and so I do like the way that came out. So very excited, and like I said, have 2 more colors left after this one, and then we're all done. So again, I don't know if I'll finish it by the end of May now that I've got more plans, but I'm really enjoying it, and we're making a lot of progress, so super happy with that. And then I was also working on The Shift by Andrea Mowry, which is the cowl version of the Night Shift shawl. This was for the Cowgirl Make-Along Challenge, which runs from May 2nd until June 27th. I'll see if I can pop down a link below so you can find it if you want to participate. And so basically the requirements were that you made your object between May 2nd and June 27th, and then it had to be a cowl, and you had to use at least 50% spin cycle. Well, I had gotten a kit for this cowl years ago, like when the cowl first came out. So I have the same exact colors that were used in the like sample project. It's just been sitting in my stash, and because I kind of like the color work had kind of freaked me out, and I just set it to the side and never became a priority. So literally have been sitting on this project for years. And even though it wasn't on my knitting plans for 2025, when the knit along or make along, because you could crochet as well, doesn't have to be knitting. When that came along, I was like, oh, here's a great opportunity to spend a month or 2 and get something else out of stash. So I have been just adding things to my to make list for 2025. It's not getting any smaller. At some point, maybe I'll do it in this video, maybe I'll do it in another video. I should actually go and look and see how many things I've added to my list since I first made it at the beginning of the year. But that's the beauty of having a like favorites bundle on Ravelry, is because you can just keep adding things to it. If something no longer strikes your fancy, you can like take it back off again. I don't think I'm going to take anything off my list this year just for like tracking purposes. But again, remember, if you remember when I made that list, it's completely unreasonable. Nobody can make that much stuff in 1 year, but it was basically a way to kind of organize some of the patterns I really wanted to make and organize, I guess, like the yarn that I already have in my stash. And so that way, when I finished a project, I could look through kind of my list and be like, oh, I already have the yarn for that. Let's pull that. That looks like fun. And just kind of a way to like reinvigorate my knitting. So I feel zero guilt about adding things to that list, even if it keeps getting longer and longer. As long as we're checking things off, that's all that matters. So that's how far we've gotten on this. Still have a lot left to go, and I've got to do it fast. And I'll tell you why. Because there's another make along. So Andrea Mowry apparently does a like long weekend make along twice a year. And so the next one coming up must be for Memorial Day. I don't even know when Memorial Day is. I can't even look at a calendar at this point. I've got so many things to do. But it's next Thursday, May 22nd, and it runs through that Monday at noon. And the pattern for this year is her new Harlow Flip hat, which it's not necessarily something that's normally my style, but because it's got like an extra like little point at the top and has a really, really deep cuff on it, but it is fun looking. It's a new pattern, and it uses spin cycle. Okay, so here's where like the exciting part comes in. So I used this up on my stash. So a while ago, I had gotten yarn for a hat that I saw as a sample in Dances with Wool, and it was the Aries hat. Now, some of the things that I like about the Aries hat is it's just like a single layer. So it's not going to use a ton of yarn. It's not going to take a ton of time. It's a very simple shape, just going around in circles basically until you decrease the crown, right? And it's, according to the pattern, so what it takes is 2 skeins of spin cycle or something spin cycle-esque. And so basically what happens is you fade from the one color to the other color. And then because also spin cycle or something spin cycle-esque is like naturally like striping anyway, like you get this really cool gradient effect. And a lot of times when you fade between 2 colors, you do like a row of one color, row of the other color, and you kind of alternate. But this one looks more pixelated, so there's a little bit of color work in it. So it's like alternating stitches. I don't know, it's really cute. So I thought it was a fun hat and I wanted to do it. And you buy 2 skeins of spin cycle, and if you reverse the colors, you can do 2 hats. So I also thought it'd be fun for like gift knitting. The pattern is a one size fits all, fits most, however you want to put it. The pattern says it's pretty stretchy, and so it fits like most people, which I wonder if this yarn is super stretchy or if it's just the way these things are being knit, because the Harlow Flip hat also says that it is really stretchy, and you can fit with between like 2 and 6 inches of negative ease. So I don't know, does anybody know? Is it just the spin cycle or is it just the way these hats are being knit? I don't know. But anyway, so I was originally going to do the Aries hat, and I still like it. It's not off my list. But that meant that I also already had spin cycle in my stash. So if I want to do this knit along with Andrea Mowry, and it's over the weekend, so it's literally Thursday to Monday, I could get 2 more skeins out of my stash and have another finished project. So kind of excited about that. So I went shopping in my own stash to find this yarn. I could not find it anywhere, guys. I searched for like an hour this morning to try to like locate it, because I knew I had it in my stash. Like I knew it was there. I knew I bought it, but it wasn't in any of the places where I normally keep stash. And so anyways, it's a long story, but I eventually found it. Had gotten stuffed in a paper bag in with my fiber, like with spinning fiber. No idea why it was there, but these are the 2 colors that I have. So there's Spin Cycle Dream State, so it's the worsted version. And one of them, this one is Bright Idea, and this one is Close Call. So Bright Idea and Close Call. So according to kind of the notes, 2 skeins should make any of the sizes of the hat. There are, I think, 5 sizes. But if you're going actually by yardage, this is not enough for the biggest size. But somebody who was selling a kit, I can't remember who it was through, said that if you count on being, most designers add in like an extra 15% in yardage just to make sure you have enough yarn. So as long as you're not, I don't know, like fast and loose with your ends or something, you should be able to make all 5 sizes from just 2 skeins. But if you want to be on the safe side, you might want to grab a little bit of extra if you're making that biggest size. But I think I'm going to make the size 4, even though I generally have like a giant head and make this the largest size, because the picture on the model is apparently the size 3 shown on a 21-inch head. And the size 3, I think it said, is 16-inch circumference. And then you can wear it with anywhere from a -2 to a -6 ease. And so that put it at a -5 ease on the model. So I think I was going to go up to a size 4, which would give me the same amount of ease for my 22-inch head. So I figured that would work. And it's going to be interesting, guys, because the hat, I didn't say this, I've been saving it. The hat is brioche. I have never made anything in brioche before. Now I've started practicing. This, I did in a video ages ago. I don't remember which one. I don't even know if it made it into a final video or not, but I wanted to learn brioche because I had some patterns in my back pocket that I wanted to work on. So I was experimenting with I wanted to spin like a Rasta, Malabrigo Rasta style yarn. And so I had some Polworth and silk, and I had done 2 skeins, right? Because I wanted to kind of thick and thin, but still like that same feel of Rasta. And so that's what I came up with, and I hadn't used it for anything. So I decided this would be perfect for a fun, thick and squishy brioche scarf to practice with. So I had started it, and then I like stuffed it to the side. I pulled it out again last night to keep practicing, and I ended up tearing it out because I couldn't remember where I left off or what I was doing. And then I started it again, and then I messed up and I did a brioche knit instead of a brioche purl at some point, or vice versa, and I couldn't figure out how to tear it back and fix it, and I also didn't like my edges. So I went ahead and just tore it out and started it again. So this has been reknit so many times, but I think I'm finally starting to get the hang of it. Now, it looks a little sloppy, but I think that's because the yarn I'm using is like has a lot of thick and thin in it, and I'm still kind of getting used to tensioning and whatever. But kind of my goal with this is to, I guess, be able to read my knitting without having to think about it. So you know how much easier it is when you can look at something and you're like, oh yeah, that's a knit 2 together, or that's a slip step knit, or this is a knit stitch, this is a purl stitch. Like, you can read it. And so I'm working on being able to read my brioche in such a way that I don't have to keep looking at my pattern, that I can just look at this and be like, ah, yes, that's exactly what I need to do next. Because if I'm going to do a hat in a weekend, we got to be able to go fast and not have to stop and look up every single stitch. Okay, so this is actually from a pattern. I'll put up a picture and I'll link it down below if I can find it. Maybe I'll put it up on my Ravelry page too. I don't know. We'll see what happens, because it's not really a project. It's just practice. But it's basically a beginner simple brioche scarf. I got the pattern because I was hoping there was going to be like a little more instruction in it. It's like 1-page pattern with like 1 picture. So if you're a visual knitter, you're probably better off going online and like YouTubing a free basic brioche pattern. But I bought it because I thought it would be more in depth than what it is, because it's a beginner pattern. So whatever, it's fine. I did change some things. I cast on 15 stitches instead of 13, and then I added a slip stitch on the edge because my edging was looking sloppy, and so that's one of the reasons why I pulled it out rather than trying to fix my mistake, because I wanted to try again with the edge. It looks so much better with a slip stitch edge. I have no idea exactly how it's fitting into the pattern. I just get to a point and I'm like, well, I feel like this time it should be slipped, and I kind of go for it. But if I can figure it out, I'll put it in my notes on Ravelry. I keep dropping it because I only have 1 hand, but that's what I'm doing so far. This is not really a priority other than to practice enough that it feels more natural doing brioche. The priority, oh gosh, I just lost my needles, is to finish this, because the hat, the Harlow Flip, calls for a circular size 4 and size 5. I have 4 tips. I have a free cord that'll be the right size, but these are my size 5 tips. So I, in theory, could just take the tips and work on the hat for the weekend and then put them back. But I hate having to switch back and forth, and if I have a hankering to work on this, then I have to pull them off the other project. So I'd really like to just finish this by next Thursday and then have my tips free. But the reason why I am here at Center of the Yarniverse is because I need double pointed needles for the top in a size 5, which I do not have. So I'm going to go and see if they have any of those square collage needles, and we'll add that to our collection. So that was a long-winded way of saying we're here at the yarn store to get more needles. All right, I'll check back in after I go in and take a look and see what they have in stock. Score, managed to get my collage needles. They actually even sell a, oh my gosh, what are they called? It's not a gauge ruler, but like the thing that tells you how big your needles are when you can't remember how big your needles are, because usually they're a circle, but they actually make a square version of it. What are those called? I don't know. Anyway, one exists. But these are clearly marked, and so I figured I wouldn't have to worry about that rubbing off for a while, so I didn't get one, but it's in the back of my mind in case I ever need one. I was also looking to see if they had any of the ChowGoo cord tips, so you can like take the tips off of your cords and then you put the end on, so then that way all your stitches don't fall off. But they only had large and mini. They didn't have the regular, so nope, didn't get that today. I did get my stitch marker though, so if you don't bring a bag, or if you don't need a bag, you bring your own or you carry it out, you get a raffle ticket for whatever their shop drawing is. I think it's like a gift card or something. And then you get a stitch marker, which changes. So they had hands with like a heart in the middle, or you could get a lotus. I went with the lotus. And then they always have tea, so I went with cranberry pomegranate. You know I'm not normally a tea person, but I feel like I need to start drinking tea because I need something that's better for me than my coffee. And by coffee, it's usually like sweetened milk with coffee flavoring, coffee adjacent. So we'll try some tea. Yeah, now I'm debating if I should go over to Dances with Wool to see if they have needle tips, or if that would tempt me too much with other yarn. I should probably just go to work. Let's go to work. And that'll require me to finish up my other project, right? Because that's how that works. All right, guys. So hopefully nobody walks back here and sees me filming because I feel really stupid right now, but that's okay. So I unfortunately did not get a chance to finish my cowl for the Cowgirl knit along, which I'll show you my progress on that later. I didn't bring it with me, but I just had to cast on for the Harlow Flip. So I did wind, oh my gosh, my yarn by hand so that they're in balls and not cakes. And I did think about the color placement when I did this. So I laid out the skeins, trimmed the ties off, and then I didn't know. My plan was whatever color I wanted at the top of the hat needed to be on the inside of the ball, and whatever color I wanted to cast on with needed to be on the outside, or whatever color I wanted at the brim needed to be on the outside, right? So what I decided was that I wanted the darker blue, I can see that, to be down at the brim with the golds being up at the top, and then to have the best contrast, because this one also has a lot of gold in it, but then it has a really bright teal as well. So basically what I wanted was the gold at the bottom to pair up with the dark blue, and then the bright teal to pair up with the gold on this darker skein. So I made sure to wind them up accordingly, and that's what we ended up with. Yeah. You can kind of sort of see it. You get the picture. And then I liked the fact that the pattern had videos for different techniques. The one that I watched was the one for the 2-color tubular cast on. So I managed to get that cast on okay, I think. And now I'm starting to work in the round. I'm a little worried. This is just my first row. Why will you not focus? Will that work? I don't know. Anyway. Just the first round, and so you can see where my beginning around stitch marker is. It's got like a gap because I have only gone around with the first color. I'm still working on that one, but there's no way, because normally I would add like an extra stitch and then connect the first stitch and the last stitch together with like a knit 2 together, but I don't know how to do that with a 2-color tubular, so we're just gonna have to pull really tight and pray. So I'm gonna keep working on this and see what kind of progress we get done today, which by the way, today's Thursday, if I didn't make that clear. All right, so it's now Saturday the 24th. Time is zipping by. I've got so much stuff to do just like around the house and whatever. So I wanted to check in before I got distracted and then forgot again. So Thursday, I cast on and thought, oh no. Okay, I think I got it. I lost some stitches off my needle. Oh my gosh, I do not know brioche well enough to fix stuff, as demonstrated by Thursday. So Thursday, I had like that much done, and I was like going around, and I'm like, oh, I'm on a roll. This is fantastic. It's looking great. And then I sat back and looked at my work for a second, and I realized that on like 2 rows, instead of doing the brioche purl, I was doing a brioche knit, but it wasn't even consistent. So I didn't even like knit all the way around. It was like a knit here or there as I was being stupid and not paying attention and just doing whatever, you know, I felt like, whatever. And again, I don't know enough about brioche to comfortably just like rip it back, right? So I had to go back and knit backwards, like 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows. I don't even know how long it took me to get all the way back. So I basically had to like redo almost everything that I had just done that day. So yesterday I also spent it knitting, and guys, we finished the brim. I'm so excited. So the next step, I stopped just shy of my marker. I've got one more stitch, because then the next round I need to switch out the needle tips for my 5s. Oh, I forgot to grab my cowl. So I haven't finished my cowl yet. So I'm just going to not worry about it and switch out the tips, and then I will put them back after Monday, because hopefully my hat will be finished by then, and then we'll finish up the cowl, because we're getting so close, guys. We are at the halfway mark of the cowl. But anyway, I'm at the point of the hat where I can switch my needle size, and then it's also going to do the syncopated brioche, is that what that's called? Where it's gonna switch from having the main color be kind of like the main outside color, switching to the contrast color being the main outside color. And so then that way, when you fold up the brim of your hat, it's the same color for your brim and the body of your hat, but then you can also turn it around and it becomes reversible. So I think that is really neat, and I am loving it so far. I'm really curious because, as you can see, I'm starting to fade into the gold a little bit, but both of my balls of yarn are hitting the gold at the same time. And as you know, gold is not my favorite color. Well, yellow's not. I think this is actually kind of a pretty gold. And because it's, you know, plied with another color, I don't think it's going to be like too much. But that's what the one color looks like. And then this is the other one so far. Oh, it's just so pretty. I'm so excited. And the fabric, like, I've always loved like the look of brioche, but now actually for the first time knitting it myself, just how like thick and squishy and I mean, like, I don't know if you can see how pretty that is. The camera doesn't do it justice. It is so nice. I'm so excited about this. So we are clipping right along. My goal today, I've got a bunch of stuff to do this morning, like in the next couple of hours, but then hopefully I'll have the afternoon free, and I want to be able to get most, if not all, of the body of the hat done today, which is something like 6 inches or so. I'm not entirely sure, something like that. But more than this, because that's just the brim. So it's a pretty hefty amount of knitting, and then that way tomorrow I can do the crown of it. And there's obviously decreases to do the crown, which I've never done any sort of brioche decrease, so I want to leave myself enough time to like pull back if I have to. And then obviously that gives me some time on Monday for finishing touches, getting my ends woven in. You're supposed to give it a light block. Probably give it a light block just to see what it looks like, but it's so pretty so far. I love it. And then I got a package in the mail today. I got a Furls Streamline hook. It's really funny. Like, I went to like open it and it says, wait, open at the other end. Okay, box, will do. I got this for my yarn that I ordered for the blanket that I want to make, and it's the right size for a couple of other projects. The Getty tee that I told you guys about before with the crochet granny squares on the shoulders, that also needs this size hook, and I didn't have one. I think it calls for a 4.5, and I have 4s and I have 5s, but no 4.5s. So I ordered this. I also thought I had some yarn. I had ordered some yarn from Hugh Loco, and it was one of their like one-of-a-kind fade sets, and I've been putting off showing it to you guys because I just hadn't gotten a chance to like open it, and now the package is missing. Like, I know it's somewhere, but where? But anyway, we'll find it eventually in my cleaning. Ooh, this is pretty. So I got the matte black metal. It's got the, yeah, it's got some weight to it. So it'll be interesting to see how that impacts tension or like fatigue as I'm working. But I'm hoping it'll be like nice and sturdy. Their resin hooks are also really pretty. But I also like my resin O-Fire hooks, so I figured I would give the metal one a try just to see. I was also torn. I also kind of like the rose one. Like, I don't know if it's rose gold or just rose or whatever, but there's a pink one that's really pretty. But I went with the black because, you know, black's my go-to. So we'll give that a test at some point in time, and I'll let you know how I like it. But let's go ahead and get some chores done. Mow the lawn, clean the bathroom. All the boring stuff that you have to do and what you really want to do is knit and crochet. Hey guys, so it's now Sunday, just after 4 o'clock, and I came out to feed the sheep, and I'm sitting on my little bucket. I know, such a cute look, right? Because I figured I'd hang out with the sheep for a few minutes and knit. I don't know how much time. I really have to get into work again, but I'm so far behind. But exciting news. I'll show it to you later, but if you notice my jacket, look how like threadbare it's getting right there, and I've already worn through like both armpits. And I was going to originally fix the underarms, but then when I realized that the front was wearing through, and I'm like, first of all, how do I even like wear through the front of a jacket like that? It's my seatbelt, where my seatbelt rubs when I'm driving. And so I'm like, I don't think it's worth patching. I don't know if I have enough fabric left. If I can find fabric, I'll do a big patch and then I'll just have something. But I found a jacket that I started making like 10, 12 years ago, and I thought I just had the sleeve left, because when I put it together, it was the first thing I ever made, like garment wise, and I sewed the sleeves on in the wrong order, and so this seam up here, I couldn't get the sleeve to match up, and I was so upset about it, I just set it to the side. And I found it a while ago, and I was like, oh, I don't have that much more of the sleeve left, I should just like, it's not gonna match it perfectly, but it'll be better than nothing. And I thought I just had the sleeve left to do, but it turns out I actually finished the sleeve when I found it before, and then now I'm working on the bottom hem. So I've got Hardly, hi! She's still mad about her haircut. She told this shearer she just wanted a little off the top, and then that's what happened. Are you not fuzzy anymore? She feels like carpet, but like a soft carpet. It's very nice. Hi, baby girl. So she's still mad at me. So we're starting to get back to her trusting me again after I had to tackle her. Like, I've got a scrape on my arm. Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that there was a bruise, but it bruised up and there's a big scrape where I had to tackle her and I like hit the ground. But anyway, that's not the point. So my jacket, I just have to do the bottom hem, and it's actually in my car. I managed to find the thread for it and everything. So at some point in time, that's going to have to make it to the top of projects to finish list, because I don't know how much longer this jacket's gonna last. But we have to get our hat done for our other project. Oh my gosh, I can't like, there we go. Okay, sorry, my arm was getting tired. I'm so all over the place. I apologize. Actually, I don't. That's just the way I am. Get over it. Anyway, so I've got to get my hat finished for this knit along. And I told you that yesterday on Saturday, my goal was to finish the body of the hat, and then I could just do the crown shaping today, and then that would give me time on Monday to finish up. I got nothing done yesterday, guys. I got maybe an inch or less than an inch. So it's basically from like there to there is what I got done yesterday. And yes, I know it's pathetic. I got hardly anything done yesterday. I know, it's terrible. She agrees. I went to the store and I picked up another set of 5 tips because I didn't want to pull them off of my KAL project and then lose the stitches and then cry. I know. And then be really upset about it. But the store only had the Forte tips, which are the carbon with the steel tips. They're not bad. They're not quite as slippy as the like all steel ones. So I'm still getting used to them, but they're not bad. So I've been using those. I was a little worried about switching over to the other color of, yeah. I'm so sorry. We did the hand shears, so she still has a good bit of wool on her. Because the guy I had shear her, I've known him for a while, and he does the hand shearing where I work, or I used to anyway. And the shears I bought, she has like a little piece of grass like embedded in her head. The shears that I bought were different from the ones that they use, and so the blades are a little thicker, so we had trouble getting her like a super close cut, but that's okay. We weren't going for beauty, we were going for coolness, right, little girl? And now her fleece is riding around in my truck because I haven't gotten a chance to put it away yet, and so every time I open the door to my truck, it smells like lanolin, which is delicious. If you have sheep and you like sheep, they smell great. What do you have in your hair over here? Are you like actually growing stuff? You're so gross. You're so gross. Right here. There we go. Oh my gosh. Anyway, not the point. So the thing I was worried about was when I switched over, because it's syncopated brioche. So you're doing one color, it's like the main color on this side, and then it switches so that when you flip up the brim of your hat, you've got a reversible hat that's all the same color on both sides. Now you could do it where you just did it all in one color and then your brim would be a different color, which would also be kind of cool. But I decided to follow the pattern. But when I made the switch, I don't know if you can't see it. That's where the marker is. I was worried that the way these yarns were now twisting together was different. And so I was worried that you could see it. But looking at it, it actually looks like it's okay. I don't know if you can see it on there or not, but anyway. One of the tough parts though is that as soon as I got to that change section, both of the yarns hit like the gold section. So this one's gonna be changing soon, but you can see that they're both like yellow at the same time, which was not really my intention. But the cool thing is the transition's really subtle, right? But are you gonna steal the ball of yarn now? I can't get anything. I can't get anything done. Anyway, so this transition is really subtle, but it's like all yellow at the same place. So we'll have to see what it looks like when it's all finished. And I'm already dying to do another one of these hats, but with like a more contrasting contrast. It's been a really long week, guys. It has been a really long week. So I'm gonna sit out here and I'm going to do a little knitting while getting this little girl to trust me again. Of course, now she's behaving because she's being filmed. Are you a diva? Are you a diva? Yeah. So we're gonna do some knitting and then we will go into work, and I'll check in with you guys later, and hopefully we'll be able to finish the body of the hat today. And then that would leave just the crown to get done by noon tomorrow. We can do it, guys. We will succeed. I mean, I'm not complaining or anything, but this is why I can't get anything done. And now my hat has sheep slobber all over it. It's not yours. She just drank out of her bowl. Actually, they both just drank, and so they've got like extra water on their chins. All right, so some bad news, guys. It is like just after noon on Monday, and I did not complete the challenge. That's how far I got. So I think this was totally doable in a given time, except that when I actually had some days off, instead of sitting and knitting like I should have, I did the grown-up thing and like cleaned my house. And yesterday, I think I slept in until 1. I was just so tired that like I feel like I needed that extra rest. And I stayed up until probably like 1:30, 2 o'clock last night, and then slept in this morning, and then I went to go get lunch and whatever. So I probably could have finished it if I had like buckled down and gotten to work. But as of right now, I'm about 3 inches short of the crown shaping. So I feel like in just a few days though, I mean, figuring I started this on Thursday and it's now Monday, I feel like that's really good progress. So I am gonna finish it before I go back to working on my cowl. I don't think it'll take me more than maybe 3 days if I work pretty good on it. But I'm loving it. Like, this is my first like actual brioche project other than that little swatch that I showed you guys before. And it's just like, it's thick and it's squishy and I love the colors. I really want to make another one in like a more contrasting set, like something like bright and obnoxious, because I usually don't do bright and obnoxious, but I feel like this would be a great project for that. But yeah, I love the way it's looking, and I'm hoping that this gold will be like mostly hidden when the brim goes up, so it'll look something like that. on the right side. And then on the wrong side, check out that color. How pretty is that? I was not expecting that. But so that'll look really nice if I flip it the other way. So, really excited by the project. We're gonna finish it up, but we did not hit our knit along challenge goals. So, both sad and yay. Oh, but while I'm here, let me show you the other thing. Since they're all spin cycle projects, I put them all in the same project bag, which is my Dogwood Fiber Trail tote bag. But this is how far I've gotten on my cowls so far. Check that out. So the marker down there at the bottom is where I was on May 4th when I checked in with you. And so I'll leave it in until the end of May. We still have a few more days. So we'll see how much more we can get done. But I've actually reached the halfway point and I'm starting the decrease shaping. So we are looking good in the cowl direction. I definitely think I can get this finished easy peasy lemon squeezy by the June 27th deadline. And I'm actually hoping to finish it much sooner than that. So that's what I've got done on the cowl so far. Not actually anything impressive to see, but this is that jacket I was telling you about. And I'm loving it. Like, it's been sitting for ages. I did a pretty good job, considering that I just kind of like invented the pattern myself. And this was like over 10 years ago, I think, at this point when I started making it. Because I can see, like, I did like a running stitch along the edges. Like, I would totally probably sew this different today. And the sleeves I set in funky because I didn't know like how to actually do a sleeve, and so I made it up, but I think it looks pretty good. And it's been like balled up and God knows where for however long. I found it in my mudroom, so I have no idea how long it's been there or like where it was beforehand. So I've definitely got to like wash it after I'm done sewing. But I just have the bottom hem to finish up. So yeah, we're getting there. It's looking pretty good. So that's another project to add to my list. All right, let's go home, and then we might have a few more minutes of knitting time before we have to go to work. All right, guys, so today is Wednesday, I think. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. Who knows at this point? A little after noon, and I am at Dances with Wool, or at least in their parking lot, because I am in distress, and I need to find somebody to ask. So I gotta tell you, local yarn stores are not just all about getting yarn. It's also about the community and the fact that other people know what you're going through, and maybe possibly somebody will be nice enough to help you. So this is how far I've gotten on my hat. Look at it, guys. I'm at the decreases. I gotta tell you, brioche with double pointed needles, not as easy as like flat out in the round with one needle, especially when you have decreases. I probably should have practiced decreases before I got going, but I think they're going okay. I think that looks like what it's supposed to look like, but I'm an idiot and I zigged where I should have zagged, I think. I want to check with somebody before I start tearing things back. But if you look right there, here, let me see if I can turn you guys around. All right, so I did it there, and I did it in one more spot. I think I either flipped it when I was, oh my gosh, what is that called? When I was passing the slip stitch over, or I slipped it purlwise when I should have done knitwise. I don't know, but now you can see that line. And I thought it was right when I was doing it, because like when I was actually knitting. But then I went back and looked at it and I'm like, no, all my other ones lay flat in the other direction. So I'm just going to confirm with somebody that that's what I did. And then I'm going to have to figure out how to drop back 2 rows. Oh my gosh. And is it only 1 row? It might only be 1 row. I don't know. I'm going to check before I do anything though. But I'm going to see if I can drop those back and get that flipped the right way. But I've also been trying really hard, that's where I left off, hang on, to like not have ladders where it comes together. I think it'll be okay once it gets blocked, but it's been like hard to pull them together because the decreases, well, it's also a purl here, right? And then I have a decrease immediately, so it's been tricky, but I love the way it looks. So we're gonna keep going and maybe possibly get some more yarn to make another one because I am in love. Oh, it started raining again. I do not have brain power to make decisions today, so that was really rough. The easy decision, I got a new pick-me-up hook because the lady confirmed, or at least she thinks that I'm right, that I just flipped it. And I'm close enough, I think, that I can pick back and put it back on properly, because otherwise, she's like, it's not that bad. You can't really tell. And I'm like, I can tell. I'm going to know, and it's going to bug me forever. So, got a hook, and then spin cycle. So, I'll show you kind of the board of options. And I really wanted something that was going to be like super, super bright, you know, like a bright, I was, in my head, I really wanted like a neon pink or like a neon green yellow. I don't really like green, but like a neon green yellow would have been cool for contrast. And I just couldn't really decide. So I had a bunch that I put on kind of like my bright ostentatious list. And then I ended up deciding the greatest contrast would be this purple color. It's Dear Diary. Oh, let me see that. So light and bright and purple. How do I keep getting purple things? And so I had a really, like a big dilemma because I really liked this with Opia and I really liked it with Absolute Zero, I think was the other one. And there was one that was similar to Absolute Zero, but like the tone was slightly different. I ended up going with the Opia. Let's see if I can pick it up here. And they had a couple different colors. This is why I like picking out Spin Cycle in person, because the skeins are all different. There was another one that I had originally put with this, which was ever so like slightly lighter in color. This one was a little bit deeper, and I really liked the contrast between the two. The other contender was, oh my gosh, I want to put up a picture with the names on it, but it was the Absolute Zero with Truly Yours. Maybe I might be making that up, but it's like a bright, bright pink color. But they only had that color, the bright pink, in the Dyed in the Wool, which is the sport weight. And I didn't want to like mess with the gauge on a brioche hat. I haven't done that often to be able to play with, you know, sizes and whatever. So I ended up going with this one, which I think is going to make a really fantastic hat. And then I was just browsing, because it's what I do. And I picked up one of the Emma's Yarn Hella Hanks, hand-dyed in Florida. I don't know if all the Hella Hanks are this, but this one is the Superwash Merino Cashmere in nylon. So it's 600 yards, 150 grams. And I found, when I was looking for, what was I looking for the other day, guys? What did I know I have? Oh, no, it was my spin cycles I knew I had purchased. And I had also gotten 3 Hella Hanks in like a fade, and they're really pretty. It's like a green and tan. I don't remember what the other color was. But it's all like more neutrally. And I found a shawl that I really liked that's crochet. And the 3 Hella Hanks will be more than enough. But they use in the pattern like more, it's meant for like minis and stuff. So you get like more of a stripy, scrappy sort of look to it. Or, I mean, you can also do it in solids or whatever. And so I felt like this one would look really pretty with those other colors that I had. This is January of 25, the colorway. So I picked this up, and we'll incorporate it with those other hanks. And then I'm thinking I should have enough left over for another small project. Maybe. We'll see what happens. But now it's time to go to work and get stuff done. There's a problem. So today is Saturday. I think it's Saturday the 31st. And there's a problem. So I was able to, okay, so first, with the problem with the flipped decreases, so I tried one and I dropped it back, but when I picked it up, something wasn't right. Like the stitches were really tight, and yet at the side, it was like extra loose. It turns out I like picked up an extra loop in there somewhere. I don't know, but I couldn't figure it out. So I ended up knitting backwards until I could get down to where the problem was. Then it was super easy to flip it. Finish the crown, which I swear took me the same amount of knitting time as the rest of the hat combined, just because trying to work on the double pointed needles with like a decreasing amount of stitches, it was a nightmare. But anyway, late last night I finally finished, and I tried it on, and it fit great. Okay, it fit snug, but like not too snug, and it had like the little point at the top, which jury's still out, not sure if I like it, but it was part of the design element. So like if you look at the picture, it comes to like a little like point at the back. Again, I don't know if I like it for me, but it wasn't a fault with the pattern, it was a design element. Oh my gosh, my hair is crazy this morning. It's fine. Anyway, so I love the hat, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and do a light blocking. You know, it says to soak for at least 15 minutes, roll in a towel, lay out flat to dry. It's the usual blocking stuff, right? And it's brioche, so I'm gonna be like super gentle with it. So I went and I did the blocking. So I soaked it, and then I popped it in my spin dryer, and then I like kind of gave it a little tug to like straighten everything out, but then kind of like pushed it back together, you know, molded it, if you will, and then set it out flat to dry. I should have taken a picture last night because it looks great, and it looks great on my head, right? Okay, so pretty hat, super pretty. That's the technically the right side. I mean, look at how pretty that is. It's got the little point, right? And then the wrong side, quote unquote, because it's reversible. And look at that, all the ends are woven in and everything. And then this is the wrong side. Like the ends are still sticking out because I gotta like trim them, but they're all in there. And that's the wrong side. Look how pretty that is, right? Gorgeous. But it grew, guys. I can't even, I'm so embarrassed. I don't even want to put this on. It's huge now. Now, it doesn't look like absolutely horrible. Like I could pretend that it's supposed to be a slouch hat, but it's not supposed to be a slouch hat. Like this was tight to my head last night. It grew. Like I can't. Like that's how it fit last night, right? And now I've got it like triple folded. But that's how it looked before. But it grew. I mean, it grew. So it's unwearable. Like I cannot even. So it's still slightly damp. And I might spritz it with just a little bit more water. I'm gonna go pop it in the dryer. Maybe I won't spritz it with more water first. Just barely damp from drying overnight. I think I'll try my first round, no extra water. And we're gonna give her a dry. And see what happens, because I'm not pulling this out. So, if you make the hat, ignore the blocking instructions and just leave it alone. Just give it maybe a little tug, or if like you want to just give it a little spritz and give it a tug to like straighten out your stitches. You could probably do a steam block, but oh my gosh, guys, the fabric's gorgeous, but it doesn't fit anymore. Let's go try the dryer. All right, guys, I fixed it. Or at least it's as close to fixed as it is going to get. And we have learned a lesson. Anyway, it's fine. So first, before we jump into that, I wanted to go back to my yarn acquisition from the other day. So the bag that I found the yarn in that I used to make the hat was in a bag with some Hella Hanks from Emma's Yarn. So I got a set of 3. Clearly, I had a project in mind at the time, I think. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten 3. But then I lost the bag just now because it wasn't sitting where I found the bag. Anyway, so I had to hunt around, but I got it. We're good. We've got all our yarn in one place. But also in my bag was a set of the barber poles, or barber, my gosh, what are they called? The barber, knitting barber stitch holders. You know what I mean? The little cordy things. I got them in mauve. In mauve. So I had a set of those. And then I had needle tips in US 8s and US 6s. So I have no idea if I had like an actual plan for this yarn or not. So I'm gonna have to hunt through my like wish list patterns and see if something comes back to me. But I wanted to show you what those looked like. Oh my gosh. Okay. So these are the Hella Hanks that I had picked out, right? Isn't that like the prettiest combination? So this one is Fungi. Oh, and by the way, these are an MCN, so 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And you get 600 yards in 150 grams. So like I said, Fungi. It's kind of hard to tell in this lighting. But there's like this pretty like browny mauve color and then some like brighter pops of like grass green. It's not showing up as bright on camera, but it is still pretty muted. And then my second color was the November 23 color. So obviously this has been sitting around in the yarn shop for a while. Maybe it was on sale and that's why I picked it up. But the base is slightly darker, a little bit more of like an oatmeal-y, maybe even like a touch of green in it, perhaps. But still very neutral. It's got some little pops of like a yellow color, little speckles of like a pinky mauve where the colors broke when it was speckled. And then my last color is KAL, which is this really pretty kind of semi-solid green color. And so that's a really pretty like color palette. I love this combination. But then January 25. Oh, look at that. Like how much fun would that be as like, wow, losing colors, hang on. And we're back. So look at that. Like how pretty of like a little just pop. Because again, it has that same kind of like mauve-y bits in it, right? And it has like that little bit of the green. They look so pretty together. So I'm really happy with that. It ended up being like the perfect color to go with this set. So no idea what I'm going to do with 4 Hella Hanks now. But I don't know. We'll make something happen because that is a gorgeous color combination. Like I said, I did find a crochet. I'm like, what does he do with the hook? A crochet shawl. And I think you can do it with solids or you can do it with like variegated or you can do it with scrappy or whatever. This is way too much yarn for it. You make like 3 triangles and then you like join them together. But I can make a really big one. Or I could use the 4 colors and then, because it's 3 sections, but I could like split it up. And I would have plenty left over for like a musselburgh hat or something. That would be really nice. I don't know, but I love those. How gorgeous. Okay. Now on to the main attraction of the hat. All right, so what I did. So when I last checked in, it was slightly damp. And I'm like, I'm going to go throw it in the dryer. So I threw it in the dryer on medium heat for like 15 minutes. And when I pulled it out, it had like not done anything. Like you could tell it's a little bit stiffer, but it hadn't really shrunk. So I'm like, forget it. Ran underneath water, got it all like sopping wet. Didn't even bother to soak it. I just kind of like squished it in. And then I threw it back in the dryer by itself. And I turned it on medium heat for like 20 minutes. I pulled it back out. Hadn't like hardly shrunk at all. Was still sopping wet. So I'm like, forget it. Threw it back in on 20 minutes at like regular heat. Came back and I had shrunk more, but like it was close, but like not quite what I was going for yet. And I was despairing. And it was pretty much dry. I think it was a little damp still, but it was pretty much dry. And so I threw it back in the dryer. And then I pulled all my laundry out of the washer that was waiting to dry. And I threw it in with the hat and then did the whole shebang for like 50 minutes on regular, how I normally dry my clothes. So I fixed it. This is what it looks like now. As you can see, it's a much more reasonable size. I was really surprised by how much it grew in length. I would have thought brioche would have grown like width-wise, but it was the length that was absolutely out of control. So yeah, let's just go ahead and try it on. Bottom edge is a little wiggly. The fabric got nice and dense, but I didn't lose like any stitch definition, and I had no problem with anything like actually with it like being felted to itself. So like that was a non-issue. So putting it on, it did shrink kind of weird up where like the decreases are, right? So it doesn't sit like quite right, but it's not horrific. And I can actually kind of fix that a little bit more if I really pull it down on my head. It has just like not even really a point. And you can't see, that's where the change is. So the change is still on the other side. You could even probably reduce it a little bit more and just pull it down. There we go. So like I said, it still has a little bit of whatever at the top. But now we're back to being a wearable hat again. So very excited about that. Mm-hmm. And the other side. Yep. That's actually the right side. I don't know why it was inside out before. Oh, it was because I was trimming off my ends. Because remember, I always weave in my ends, leave it really long, block it, and then trim off the excess. I had the crazy hair, but that's what it looks like. Turned out super cute. That's where the weird, look at it, like shrunk weird on that side. So it like sticks out. I don't know, but it's now fixed. I don't know what that means for my next brioche hat. Do I just not wash it? Like, ever? Or do I do it like 2 sizes too small? Or do I make it and then do the same thing and just felt the crap out of it at the end? I don't know. But it turned out to be a nice hat. I like it. Can't wait to wear it in the winter. See, that's where the little poofy part is. If I just put it on the back or the side, I'll never see it. And if I don't see it, then I don't care, because what I don't know doesn't hurt me, right? It's fine. So that is the hat. We are done with this stupid make along, and we are ready to get back into our planning for June knitting, because it is now June. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.